Morning, lovely viewer. Well, we're going for it. We're going to do the best performing rose of 2025 this year. It's a video that I said I would make June or July of next year, but I've decided that we are going to do it today. We're going to do it today. It's a video that I do each year around this time. We're beginning of September, and I'm going to have to include some video clips in here, an overlay if you like. I'm going to keep the commentary going, but I know what you want. You want to see the roses looking their finest, so I'm going to have to put some video clips in of earlier on in the year so you get to see them. But I'm going to do a top 5, and this here is Eustacia Vi. This particular Eustacia Vi. Now, it's important when you see these videos, it's important that you understand these are individual plants. Now, while it can be said that these roses, they can be consistent, it's not always the case. Sometimes a rose could do well for me in my garden, but it might not do so well in your garden. There's rose zones to consider. But it's more than that. Sometimes I think it just comes down to luck. Now, hopefully you can see here that that rose has repeated very well for second flush. These roses here get sun in June, July time. They get sun from about 6 AM round until sort of early afternoon. And the first flush for all of these roses was fantastic. But second flush for these 3 Eustacia Vi, for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. And this is the same variety of roses planted next to each other. And this year in particular, Eustacia Vi, it just hasn't, these 3 roses here, it just hasn't repeated. It's been stationary. There's just a couple of buds here or there, but nothing really to write home about. But this rose, it deserves this 5th spot because it has done. First flush was fantastic, and second flush, even though it's slightly over now, second flush has been fantastic. This is a fragrant rose. It's a healthy rose. Its flowers, they don't last so long, maybe 3 or 4 days possibly. Its flowers, they do bleach somewhat in the heat, but they don't, in my garden at least, they don't shatter in the heat. It's a rose that I don't think it does particularly well in the wet weather, but it's the fact that this particular rose here, it has done fantastically well for me. Amazing first flush, amazing second flush, even though it's slightly past it now. But that is an amazing rose and worthy, I think, of 5th spot. But like I say, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. I know roses, they can sometimes have a mind of their own, and I know we like to take credit for our roses when things go well, but sometimes, just occasionally, I think it can also come down to luck. Sometimes, not just rose zone. I know there are people who are local to me. They might grow a rose that does particularly well for them, and I'll try and grow the rose, and it'd be one of those things, it doesn't do so well for me. So these things have to be taken into account. And the rose in 4th place is Gertrude. It's the rose that's just there, and I'm gonna at some point put some video footage in of earlier on in the year. But this rose is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Now, even though I'm putting this rose this year in 4th spot, before anyone rushes out to buy this rose, you have to take into account that this rose, it has got a reputation for not being the healthiest. You can see the morning dew on there, and that's just a fact. Now, I grow a rose, this rose in the front garden, that is particularly unhealthy for me. But as I've said in previous videos, this rose, this year, it has done fantastically well. Now, I know many people, they said they've been disappointed with their roses this year, other than the problem bed that I have in the front garden. I've been over the moon, and this rose sums it up, because this rose hasn't been out of flower. It literally has not been out of flower all season long. There's another flower there, and it's been very healthy for me. I'm going to come down, see new growth always coming through. Always very healthy. And that's just luck. I'm not doing anything special. I wish I could claim credit. I think it's just luck. Now this rose, it gets sun in June, July time. It gets sun from about probably 11 AM, something like that. It sees all of that heat of the afternoon sun until sunset, pretty much. So it gets a lot of sun, but look how healthy it is. Remember, we are September, and this rose, it has a bad reputation for health, so you need to take that into account. It just so happens, you know, this is the best performing rose in my garden for me. This is a rose, it's 5 years old now, probably its 6th year in the ground, growing it as a shrub. But when you get Gertrude Jekyll, that lovely fragrance, and it's healthy for you, and this year the flowers have repeated very well. It's like a conveyor belt, a slow conveyor belt of flowers always coming through. This is a rose, its flowers, they do shatter in the heat. They don't bleach as much, but they do shatter in the heat. But that conveyor belt that's coming through this year, I think more than any other year. If you look at the hawthorn bushes, you know, out in the wild, it is very early. You know, there's a ton of berries on these bushes, a ton of damsons, a ton of fruit. And when people say their year hasn't been so great, for my roses, other than that problem bed, I've seen a lot of flowers over a long period of time. I mean, look at that. So when you get a healthy Gertrude with all that fragrance and that repeat, that constant conveyor belt of flowers, yeah, I'm going to give Gertrude in my garden a 4th spot. But bear in mind, if you buy it, the balance of probabilities will suggest that it might not be as healthy for you. And again, it's just an example. These roses can often be individual plants. I'll talk to you about Westerland very quickly. Amazed with this rose this year. It's not in flower at the moment. I might include some footage, but again, very healthy. Beginning of September. I think it's been a very good year for black spot this year. It's been very dry, but Westerland I've been very happy with. Doesn't make the top 5. And here's Pomponella. Again, this gets an awful lot of sun. Westerland, its flowers don't do so well in the heat, I've found, but this is a rose that's done particularly well. You can see it needs deadheading now, and I'm only showing you this because I know I've done some videos of this already. What I'm going to do next year, look at that, beautiful. It's not a fragrant rose, unfortunately, nor does it make it into my top 5, but that is a lovely rose. Yeah, what I'm going to do next year is I'm going to stagger the flushes a bit more. When the roses start to bud up, I'm going to cut out some of the stems in the hope that it will prolong the flowering period, because this rose, there is a gap between the 1st and 2nd flush, which is what this is. That is the hope, and we will see how we get on with that. But I think Pomponella, it flowers so much, it's a rose that we could get away with doing that. Now, the rose in 3rd place, I'm glad, because it's one of my favourites. This is Rose Bliss Parfuma. There's just one flower on it at this moment in time. This is third flush, but this is a rose I get good duration, 7 days. It's a rose that puts up with the heat. It doesn't particularly bleach in the sun, and it certainly doesn't melt. It's a rose that's very healthy, and whilst I say that our roses can be very individual to us in the spots in our gardens that we plant them, I very rarely hear anyone have a nasty word to say about Bliss Parfuma. The same pretty much with Eustacia Vi, in fairness. But Bliss Parfuma, it's got fragrance that I like particularly. And you can see this new growth coming through for third flush. You can even see how cold it is now. Can you see the white on the dew there? And this is only, I think it's its 3rd year in the ground. I think it's just started to grow this year. And the reason this rose isn't getting higher is because of its size. I think next year, when it's bigger, and it will be, I mean, look at all this growth, fantastic growth coming through at this time of year. This is going to put on a fantastic display as well. And again, I'm going to show you the health. There are holes in the leaves, nothing else. But this is a rose, it's one of my favourites. You can talk about your best performers, but I am very glad that this rose has done so well. Flower well, repeated well, fragrant, healthy. The duration of flowers. All of these things, if this was just a bit bigger, a bit more substantial, then that would be higher up. Brother Cadfall gets a mention because it's another one of my favourites, a lovely scent, a lovely fragrance, and it's another rose that I don't think it's been out of flower. It's something I haven't seen in previous years, but like I say, this year has been fantastic for flowering, the continuity of this sort of bud production. I've not seen anything like it. It has started to get a little bit of black spot. You can see here, just a little bit of black spot, but we're September. It's autumnal, it's going to happen, but this is a rose I've mentioned before. If I could turn the clock back, I would just have it in morning sun only. This gets all day sun and its flowers do shatter. Quick cameo appearance from Rosemary Harkness, lovely scent, flowers just gone past it, but you can see this one here is still doing very well indeed. Another one of my favourite sort of roses, but it doesn't make it into the top two. The top two, we need to go back out the front. Oh, I mean, look at that over there. Well, you can't see it from here. Yeah, I should. I'm the least social media savvy person I know. This video will always do better in sort of June time, but to get you the most accurate sort of picture, I'm going to give James Galway a mention in dispatches as well, because this has done another rose that has done fantastically well. Honestly, I'm so pleased. I really am so pleased with all of my roses, apart from that problem bed. But look at that. Look at that. James Galway didn't do well last year, but this year, for some reason, I'm going to have a smell of this rose. It's a small one. It's still opening. Sadly, I've not got fragrance from that one. Let me try this one. I do need to deadhead as well. Yeah, got fragrance from that one. That's nice, and it's very, very early. You can still see the dew that's on the ground, but look, you can see the health, the amount that it's flowered. James Galway, yeah, that definitely gets a mention in dispatches. It's growing all the way up there as well. I'm going to train that, and that will do well next year, I think, I hope. Let's see if we can see that view again, because that fog just looks gorgeous. It's right on our doorstep as well, just with the trees sticking up through the fog. Yeah, we've got the motorhome here again. It's not normally here, but let's come out here and let's talk to you about the rose in second place. And this rose, it's going to be Rose Elizabeth. Now, again, I'm going to have to put, I think, some footage at some point in of Rose Elizabeth. Rose Elizabeth, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I've seen it mentioned before several times. Many people have got it and they're not really into it. But it is one of my favourites. I just like it. And this rose is another one that hasn't been out of flower. It hasn't. It's been, again, that conveyor belt. It hasn't given me an astonishing display, which is a little disappointing. But ultimately, you can't have everything. You just can't. Oh, that's falling apart. But it has always had 3, 8, 10, 15 flowers on it from probably the end of May all the way round until the beginning of September. It's been absolutely fantastic. You see, there's still more to come. There's still more to come. This is a healthy rose. Now I get fragrance from it most of the time. Now, if you've got Elizabeth and you're not getting fragrance from it, that was the same as me. I had this rose, I've mentioned in a previous video, for 2 years before I got fragrance from it. Now, I have read that sometimes roses can take 3 or 4 years to develop scent. Whether that is true or not, I don't know, but I've read it several times. Now, if that is true, in many ways, I'm glad, because I went along with it. I didn't get fragrance from this rose initially, and that is what I reported to you. But now I do. Now I do. Most of the time I get a lovely strong scent from this rose. Its flowers, they do bleach in the heat. Sorry, they do bleach in the sun, but the flowers don't shatter. Duration of flowers, again, it's not long, maybe 3 days, possibly 4 days. They do okay in the wet weather, but nothing to write home about. But the flowers don't shatter, and it's that production, that ongoing production of flowers, that strong growth, the scent, the health. This rose this year, it did get some yellow leaf. I have noticed that on a few of my roses, just a bit of yellow leaf. That's sunflowers in the background there, over the back there, that's falling forward. But I think that was to do with the dryness more than anything else. It wasn't black spot. That's a beautiful flower there. Yet I just happen to like this flower. It might not be your cup of tea. Look at that. For me, that's great. But in terms of performance in my garden, this rose has been absolutely fantastic. But let's now get round to, oh, there you go. Can you see that a little bit better now? Just when we come out the front door, we get a look at that, the trees popping up through. Always very nice to see. We've got some roses in flower there, but we won't talk about those just yet. Let's come around here. The winner. It's a previous winner, and of course it has to be these 2 Olivia Rose Austins. That's who I'm going to award it to for this year. Now, bearing in mind where we are in the season, I'm going to give you a good look at this rose, but I'm also going to show you the footage, previous footage from these roses. The first flush was absolutely fantastic. I was worried initially because I left it taller than I ordinarily would, and I left it bushier. I left a lot of stems in place that I would have taken out. And what that has left me with is a very dense sort of foliage. But as I scroll the camera up and down here, hopefully you can see it. This rose is the benchmark for health, I think. Now, the first display of roses, the first flush of roses that I got from this Olivia, both these Olivias, it happened to be quite cool. Oh, that's 7 o'clock again. The temperatures were quite cool. It was overcast, quite cloudy. And what that meant was, that first display, these flowers had great duration, plus 7 days. And it held on to the colour, that lovely vibrant pink. Many people when I was out in the garden, stopped me and they asked me about the roses, and they would point and say, what's that rose, or what's that rose? Olivia, 9 times out of 10. Fantastic first display, first flush, and it repeated it exactly the same for the second flush. Amazing health. Just an occasional light fragrance is what I get from Olivia. But a worthy winner. David Austin himself said it was probably his best rose that he produced, and I can't argue with it. Again, a fantastic rose. To get that duration of flower from Olivia for the first flush, not so much the second flush. The first flush, like I say, I've got plus 7 days. Second flush was between 5 and 7 days, so still a good duration. And look, you can see again on this one, exactly the same. All this new growth coming up, despite it being so dense, its flowers didn't droop down for me. Its flowers don't shatter in the heat. They bleach in the sun, but they don't shatter in the heat. And I think that Olivia is the worthy winner of best performing rose in my garden this year. But there you go. I'm not sure what I'm going to leave you with. In fact, I'm going to leave you not with the bins, but I'm going to leave you. Oh, in fact, Princess Charlene de Monaco is a rose that I've been very happy with as well. But this is another rose that I've been very happy with. I'm thinking of its name. Its name will come to me. I might have to put it down the bottom there. Ah. Oh. It's got a German name. It's a Tantal rose, and its flowers have been good in the heat as well. It's flowered well. Oh, its name is escaping me, but I'm going to leave you with this rose. Like I say, it's not the best time of year to release these videos. Always difficult. I don't like to edit, but hopefully you'll get to see the flowers, which is what the majority of people they want to. That's what they want to see. There's no getting around it. But overall this year, very, very happy with my roses. Very happy indeed. Right, lovely viewer, I hope you have a lovely day.